research titled The Lived Experience of Abandoned Older Adults in Select Home for the Aged Facilities in Cebu during the COVID-19 pandemic. Please welcome the group's representative, Ms. Diana Kisha Johnson.
Good afternoon, panelists, clinical instructors, and fellow students. My name is Diana Kisha Johnson, a BSM 4C student and the primary investigator of Group 3. Before anything else, I would like to ask all of you a question. How would you like to live your life when you turn 60, 70, or older? How would you like to be treated by the government, society, and your family as you grow old in age? Today, I humbly stand before you all as I present the findings of our study on the lived experience of abandoned older adults in select home for the aged facilities in Cebu during the COVID-19 pandemic. Abandoned older adults face greater vulnerability during the pandemic as they do not share the same physical and emotional privileges as older adults who are still being supported by their families. During the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a global increase in older adult mortalities and prevalence of elder abuse, such as abandonment, which were commonly reported in nursing home facilities. In response to the pandemic, health measures ranging from lockdowns, visitation restrictions, and social distancing were placed, limiting social interactions and disrupting the way of life of these abandoned older adults. So, as there are barely any studies that show how the pandemic had affected the quality of life of abandoned older adults, we, the researchers, conducted this study to explore and recognize their lived experience in select home for the aged facilities in Cebu during the pandemic. So we made use of a qualitative research design, specifically a Husserlian descriptive phenomenological method, as we explored the experiences of selected older adults living in 3 different home for the aged facilities in Cebu, which we named Facilities A, B, and C, and were all chosen using proposal sampling to give us information-rich responses fitting the criteria we have established. A sample of 5 informants were interviewed, 3 females and 2 males, all aged 65 years old and above, and who were abandoned by their families or relatives, having no contact with or visitations from them since before or during the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, we all passed the mini-COG screening test and the geriatric depression scale during our screening. So the informants were also chosen regardless of religion, educational attainment, or socioeconomic status. For the data gathering procedures, we started with the research approval phase, wherein we first obtained the approval of the VCERC, followed by the Dean College of Nursing, and then the elderly facility administrators. Those who passed our screenings were then briefed, and consent forms were then obtained. A mock interview was then done with potential informants in one facility, and prior to proceeding to the interview proper with the actual informants. Lastly, the post-interview phase was conducted, which included the data management procedure, analysis, and member checking for validation of findings. Data analysis was also done, like before, with Collides' descriptive phenomenological approach to describe the experiences gathered from interviews. So moving on, here we have the summary of our themes. So we have driving factors of elderly abandonment, your psychological impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, health management during the COVID-19 pandemic, coping mechanisms of abandoned older adults, and lastly, expressing satisfaction. So for the first theme, this describes the experiences that led to their abandonment in the selected home for the aged facilities and their thoughts and feelings after being mistreated and neglected by their family members. So all of our older adults informants expressed varied types of familial conflict contributing to their abandonment, from mistreatment by relatives, neglect due to financial constraints, and caregiver stress related to the inability to manage illness, which is evidenced by this quote from one of our informants, wherein his family left him behind because they couldn't care for his illness no longer. So despite filial piety being an infamous characteristic among Filipinos and other Asian countries, the increasing number of elderly abandonment cases introduces a paradox wherein older adults are unable to turn to families for care. So our next theme is a description on how living in a residential care setting within the pandemic can risk the psychological well-being of older adults and loneliness. So feelings of safety and security. So most of our adults, or all of our adult informants, were not scared of the pandemic as they felt safe and secure for as long as they followed their health protocols. For loneliness, many of our, or most of our older adult informants felt lonely as socializing with visitors or participating in culminating activities prepared for the facilities, which became their way of life. So although they understand the reasons for such and keep themselves busy with other thoughts or activities, they were still filled with nostalgic longing for company. Our third theme is the health management during the COVID-19 pandemic, which is compliance towards your health protocols, which includes vaccinations, and our second theme, which is your self-care practices, wherein whenever they felt sick, they would take vitamins and medications to ensure their well-being. Our fourth theme is their coping mechanisms. So first, we have acceptance as a coping mechanism, where they accepted what they couldn't change, and although they knew that it was unfair, they know that they can't do anything to change their situation. Next, we have your spiritual religious coping, wherein our informants turned to God to seek comfort and aid for all their troubled times and the loneliness they felt as they couldn't interact with visitors or outsiders due to the pandemic. Next, we have distracting oneself, wherein older adults with the continuity of care theory would apply music or would engage in leisure activities to divert their attention to better things so that they don't think too much about their problems or dwell on why they can't contact their family members no longer. We also have your avoidance of social conflict, wherein they value the relationships they form with members of the facility. Lastly, our fifth theme, expressing satisfaction. This describes how the older adults express gratification on the facility and happiness with their present life situations. So despite all that has happened to them and the challenges they face, they were contented with what they have because that was, for them, it's the best that they could have. And lastly, they were satisfied with the facility services, knowing that if they were to leave the facility, they can't depend on anyone else. So thus, despite the difficulties that came as a result of familial conflict and abandonment that forced the older adults to rely on home for the aged facilities before and during the pandemic, they were able to rise above these obstacles, feeling grateful to God as they were contented with their lives and considered their facility members as second family. As for our recommendations, generally we would recommend for more projects and more investments towards older adults, especially those who are abandoned or those who can no longer rely on anyone else but themselves and of the government. So before I end my presentation, I would like to remind ourselves of the reason of why we should still value our older adults. So regardless of the result of how satisfied they were of their lives, this doesn't change the fact that we as researchers have to act as social agents for change and make their life a better place, especially since they can't depend on anyone else. And I believe that elderly abandonment isn't just a Filipino problem. It's a global problem wherein we all, as stated in my question earlier, regardless of where you see yourselves when you're 60, 80 or older, we all deserve to live a life with respect, dignity, and love, surrounded by the people we love, regardless if it's a family formed by blood or a family formed with the relationships we forged along the way. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. It's a very nice study. It's also one of pressing problem that we have in our community, in our society that I'm very much interested. Now, you started your presentation a while ago with 2 questions. I want you to answer that question. If you are to answer that question, what would be your answer?
So my first question for everyone to recall was, how would you like to live your life when you turn 60, 70 or older? And the second was, how would you like to be treated by the government, society, and your family as you grow old in age? So for my first question, I would want to live my life being sincerely happy. As a researcher who interviewed all our informants, we realized or we recognized how their happiness was based on knowing that this was all that they could have. Essentially, they were satisfying, knowing that they couldn't dream of anything bigger and that they should just be happy because they're blessed, because they have what they have. But I wish I could live a life that is a bit more different. where I am sincerely happy, surrounded by the people who love me and who I love, knowing that I could depend on them and they could depend on me. As for my second question, how would I like to be treated by the government, society, and my family? I would like a government who knows the value of older adults, who knows that we are living in a future paved by them for us, and knows that we are a vulnerable group who needs their help, and a society who combats against ageistic beliefs, knowing that older adults aren't just, it's not the end point of life, that they still have a purpose in society. And for my family, to generally just love each other as what filial piety is all about, as what we are proud as Filipinos and as an Asian community.
Okay, so with that being said, do you think there is a need for our country to have adult residential homes?
For me, I believe, yes, we do need adult residential homes because when we interviewed a lot of our informants, they had no family, no friends to depend on. And for some assisted living spaces here in the Philippines, they don't offer residential care. In fact, the country only has 4 residential cares in the Philippines currently, and none of that is in Visayas. So most of our residential cares are private or sponsored by church organizations. So I would want the government to invest in these spaces for older adults, especially those older adults who really have no family, no friends to contact to, or those who were left behind with their parents because they were only child and they refused to marry. So they need our support, and I wish that we could provide that support in the future.
Yes, that's good. Now, what do you think could be the implication of this to the Filipino family system?
The implications of this research to our Filipino family would be mostly a reminder of what we're proud of, the familial piety, of how, because abroad we're known as the culture that loves family. We grow up with our grandparents, we grow up with an extended family. So I believe it's a reminder that there's an increase in elderly abandonment cases, which becomes a paradox to what we believe in. So it reminds us that we should appreciate the older adults we have now. We should spend time with them, show them love, because we wouldn't be here without them.
So what do you think could be a concrete program that the government or you as someone who advocate in taking care of the elderly or the adults, what do you think would be a concrete program to mitigate the abandonment of the elderly adults?
First and foremost, it would always be education and awareness, especially to the youth, because individualism in our generation is a huge issue wherein we tend to practice Western practices wherein we would like to move out of the house, start our lives just by ourselves. So education about that. And aside from education, I would like to, concrete actions could be, or proper implementations of existing programs, because we actually have an informant who wanted to relocate to her closer hometown, but then due to wrongful dissemination of information, she was transported instead to a facility here in Cebu unknowingly. So more dissemination, education, and more programs that really advocates for older adults and those who need care from the government.
Thank you. Last question. Do you think that there could also be a need to a need for us to develop nursing homes for adults with special needs? I'm thinking of the children with special needs who will eventually become adults. So do you think there should be a separate residential homes also for them, apart from those who are growing up as a normally functioning individual?
I strongly agree to that. I believe that we should have separate facilities for them, especially if they are only child and their parents if ever their parents do pass away, their biggest concern would always be, who will look after my child as they grow old? Who will be the one taking care of them and when they are all alone? So I believe the government should also invest in programs that specifically target that area.
But how can we pursue on that if our nurses will be living as, our OTs will be living as? Leaving the Philippines, because they would want to, get employment from other countries. So we're with that situation, coming up with a residential homes, we'll still be able to address the problem that we have with our growing population of elderly.
I believe that despite the fact that we have healthcare workers leaving the country, it is still an important investment by the government to even just promote the idea that we could do this as a country, because then it could move and educate other graduating nurses, graduating OTs to maybe that, hey, I can serve my country here for a bigger purpose too.
Okay, thank you very much.